A very basic fitness advice that every beginner gets is focus on compound movement. And while not gonna lie, this advice when I actually started taking it did help me a lot. I got a lot of really fast progress after I started focusing on my compounds very seriously. But the problem with this mindset is it essentially says ignore everything and just focus on squat, bench, deadlift, maybe overhead press, maybe rows, and just focus on getting stronger at them. And while that does help, the problem is what a lot of people end up doing is that they start changing their form completely in order to constantly be able to lift more weight. And so they start using a form on these movements that barely even target the target muscle anymore. For an example, a very crazy arch on the bench press and a bunch of leg drive and everything. Or when it comes to squats, a very, very low bar squat that's very hip hingy with very, very little knee bend. Like, don't you want to train your quads? That's problem number one. Problem number two, which is the main problem that I want to talk about today, is that a lot of people end up putting all of their eggs, except for maybe one or two, in the basket of the big compound lifts. And for example, on chest day, they focus on just increasing their bench and they're really laser focused on progressing on that every single time. And when they don't, they get angry. But then after that, they just half-ass the rest of the training. Whatever comes afterwards, push downs, tricep extensions, lateral raises, they completely sandbag it. And I'm not saying that this mindset doesn't lead anywhere, it does lead somewhere. It leads to a kind of strong squat, bench, deadlift and a very mediocre physique. But the idea of focus wholeheartedly on these couple of lifts is not a bad idea, except you should do it with all of your lifts. You should go into your curls and your tricep extensions with the same burning passion as you go into bench pressing. And while I do realize that these lifts are not necessarily always as progressible as the squat, bench, deadlift, they can and should also be pushed really hard, and you can pretty much almost always see progression on those as well. And you can definitely put your heart and soul into it. I know that probably the reason why you really love bench press and the reason why you can be so laser focused on it is because you're progressing, you're putting weight on the bar every week or maybe every other week, and you're happy about your progress. But the same can be done with isolations, the same can be done with other lifts. Now yes, I do realize that when it comes to dumbbell preacher curl, you won't progress as fast as on a bench press. But let's say you're doing 3 sets and every single week throughout the 3 sets you can usually add 1 or 2 extra reps, and you just keep doing that, you keep hammering that, you keep always pushing to failure, always trying to get more, and always trying to push forward, get more performance without sabotaging obviously your form, which I mean when it comes to preacher curls cannot really be done, but when you're talking about like tricep extensions or push downs or something like that, obviously don't jeopardize your form. Take videos, okay? Take videos of yourself, look at your form, and if it's getting worse, you're hopefully going to actually realize that through seeing the footage. But very important, don't over obsess on the progression. The progression will happen by itself naturally if you just keep doing the movement. What you need to do is just be patient, keep doing what you're doing, don't change your form, and the progression will naturally come. And so what I really wanted to point out here is that literally every movement that you do in the gym can be turned into a bench press or a squat. They can be turned into something that you're very passionate about, that you always see progress on, that you always look forward to, because you know that right now you have to hit a massive new PR. And when you're treating every single exercise like this, not only the big ones but also the small ones, the bicep curls, the lateral raises, the tricep extensions, the push downs, the calf raises, yes, don't skip calves, your physique will improve a lot, and with time you're gonna be absolutely massive. So train everything seriously, train everything in a hardcore way, and click here to watch my last video.